This bonus edition of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast is brought to you by Rockstar Energy Drink. It is the official energy drink of this Cine-Men Movie Podcast with over 20 different flavors in 30 different countries. It's the active energy drink for people who live active lifestyles. All kinds of flavors, from sugar-free to the original to killer grape, even to the new sour, mean green apple with over 300 milligrams of caffeine. Grab a can today because it's the official energy drink of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Welcome to this bonus edition of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. This is your July bonus episode. Johnny, Juan, alongside here with Edward.
Hey.
Ed, this is your pick, your staff picks, your bonus show. You decided to go with The Fifth Element, a classic from, which is now considered a classic from 1997, directed by
Luc Besson.
For those of you who don't really know who that director is, he's also directed, more notably, Leon the Professional was his big money maker. Classic hitman movie from the day. But man, how you doing? We just finished up Django.
Yeah.
So this is our our little bonus 4K talk of The Fifth Element. So
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Been working, got a little upgrade on a couple things here and there, headphones wise and stuff. So hey,
for those of you that don't know, we've decided to push out more extra content. Not only is it enough for us to come out with an episode every single Monday night that drops at 9 p.m., but we're like, hey, let's drop a bonus episode because when we drop our Patreon later this fall, we're going to be putting up tons of exclusive content, VODs. We already had a video on demand live on YouTube now. You can check it out when we covered the Watchmen movie. Our next live video is going to be Spider-Man Far From Home, which is going to be next week's episode, so you'll get to hear and see us in that episode. And then we're going to be doing that weekly starting this fall as well for Patreon and YouTube subscribers as well, Facebook Live. But past bonus episodes content of, me and you did one called The Evil Dead in November. That was the last horror season movie that we did. And then me and Zach did one for the month of June, and me and Zach did Alien, which you guys can check out all the bonus episodes and the regular episodes in the archives at facebook.com/moviereels. You can also go to Spotify, Podbean, YouTube. Ed, what's the easiest way for them to find that YouTube page?
Honestly, I would just go to Facebook and put in Movie Reels 405. That is MOVIEREELZ 405. Go ahead and click that Learn More button. That'll send you straight to our YouTube channel. Now go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. Leave a review on the Facebook page. Let us know, if you think we're 5 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 1 stars, if 0 stars, if it'll let you, I don't know. But leave a review. We would love to have that. Likes, comments, leave all that good stuff. Let us know how you like us.
And then you can also find us on Instagram at just Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Twitter is at Cine-Men405. And then you can also find the YouTube page, again, on the Facebook page. If you don't want to do Facebook.com, search /MovieReels405. Simple, just go to your Facebook page, search Cine-Men Movie Podcast, and we're liked and followed so much now that you can just find us by
on Google, by Movie Podcast.
Yeah.
Simple,
we also have a Snap.
Yeah.
And Ed's going to be uploading some photos from this episode, from the past episodes.
Yeah.
So where can you find us on Snapchat?
Just type in Cine, C-I-N-E, Men, M-E-N, one word, 18. Cine-Men 18. So just go on there and look us up. I'll post things here and there just to let you know what we're doing at the week, pictures from the episode, different stuff throughout the week like that. So, yeah.
Well, this is the bonus episodes. We're only going to usually last about 60 minutes, maybe a little more. We don't have any kind of segments, no top fives. We're just going to talk to you about the product itself, the actual disc. We're going to talk to you about what you can find it on, where it was released, how you can release it, But man, The Fifth Element is from had a release date May 9th, 1997. It's considered a French movie, believe it or not. With a budget of $90 million, it made $263.9 million at the box office.
It was actually one of the more expensive movies up until I think a year or two later with Titanic.
Yeah. Well, Titanic was released the same year this was.
Oh, okay, so up until that point, but then right out, so.
But get this, look at how times changed.
Yeah.
It had a theater release date of May 9th, 1997.
Yeah.
It didn't hit DVD or VHS until December the 10th. That's how times have changed now to where, like Avengers Endgame is getting ready to come out on DVD and Blu-ray August 13th, and it just came out in theaters in April.
The
end of April.
Sorry about that, yeah.
So 3 full months of it being in the theater, and now it's already on home release.
And it's being re-released for that.
And then you look at this on May 9th, so you got May to December, almost 6 months.
Yeah.
But it was released on DVD, VHS, and Laserdisc December 10th, 1997. And then it had a Blu-ray release June 20th, 2006. And then it had a re-release because fans complained about the quality of the bonus content. They also complained that there wasn't enough copies because nobody could find it, obviously. So they re-released it July 17th, 2007. And then 10 years later, July 11th, 2017, they released the 20th anniversary on 4K Blu-ray. So we're going to review the movie. We're going to talk about quality, what you watched it on compared to what maybe I watched it on, and then compare to just your thoughts, man. Why? First off, let the listeners know why did you select The Fifth Element?
It's just a fun kind of slightly weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. This isn't going to be your most popular sci-fi movie, although it's kind of like a Attack of the Killer Clowns. Kind of a cult following, if you will. Because I feel like it's gotten more popular after the fact.
Yes.
Plus, with the actors and actresses that were in it, it's kind of like seeing those names in something that's not a big time, over the top movie.
Well, let me go through the cast, and right quick, we'll let everybody know. It stars Bruce Willis, Gary Oldman, Ian Holm, Chris Tucker, the late Luke Perry, and then a young Mila Djokovic is in the film as Lilu.
Yep.
Written by and directed by Luke Benson. So this movie, on paper, looks like it could be
a fantastic film.
Right. The cast now, honestly, Gary Oldman, Oscar-winning actor.
Yeah.
Mila Djokovic, everybody knows her for Evil Dead. Or
no, you're talking. Oh wow. Holy.
Yeah. Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, yeah.
And then Bruce Willis is one of those. He's almost
all-around action star.
Right.
Thriller.
So, and at the time, on the a lot of the content we get, you can check it out on the special features.
Definitely.
The director had said that, you told me that they were originally casting Jean Reno.
Yeah.
Was going to be the main character, Corbin Dallas, and
with being a French movie, I can definitely see why, because he's usually typecast.
And he starred as the professional in Leon the Professional, directed by Luke Benson.
So a little weird that he didn't get it already,
right? But for some reason he wanted to go with Bruce Willis, and why wouldn't you? You want to make a shit ton of money with these movies. And, Bruce Willis at the time was the highest grossing paid action star besides Tom Cruise at the point.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, films like, at the time, Pulp Fiction definitely didn't hurt the guy.
Right.
You know?
I mean, Die Hard, Pulp Fiction.
So,
I think Armageddon was about to come out.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe a year or two later. So Bruce Willis was definitely
on the high roll there.
Yeah, he was on the high end. I think Gary Oldman in the 90s was he was known for some of these bizarre roles. Now, don't get me wrong. Have you seen Jupiter Ascending?
I have.
This movie, or not? I wouldn't say this.
Like the Big Brother, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
Like the Big Brother that kind of is a little too odd. The little brother that's odd, but kind of, you know.
But for those of you that don't know, in the colorful future, a cab driver unwillingly becomes the central figure in a search for a legendary cosmic weapon to keep evil and Mr. Zorg at bay. And they are there talking about the Fifth Element.
Which Mr. Zorg is played by Gary Oldman. On top of that, Luke Besson, he won. Okay, if you look at most futuristic films, they're dark, they're gloomy, they're realistic, they're, you know, let's just kill everything and it's all nighttime.
Right, they're really straight. A lot of the sci-fi movies are really straightforward and dark. This one has some comical chops in it.
And he wanted it to be kind of
like a comic book like
cheerful, you know, kind of, well, a cheerful ambiance of it. And he wanted to have it to be like a bright, joyful thing that was dark behind the mask, basically, if you will.
And believe it or not, him being a French director, this movie technically being a French movie, got heavily criticized during one of my favorite scenes when the blue-like alien.
Yeah.
She does the opera scene, and he got criticized because that, for some reason, they thought, you know, an alien singing an opera, an Americanized opera song. Oh, it's an American film, you know. So his French people really didn't like the movie to begin with, and you know.
The thing was, his actual fiance at the time was the woman who was in the Get Up. She was the one, because the actress actually pulled out and failed to show up. So she took over and done it her way and all that. Now, with that, she practiced quite a bit for, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like 3 months to get that part down. And, I mean, I've got to say, I truly think she, you know, Mywin is her name. I think she actually did pretty damn good, in my opinion.
It's funny that you say she pulled out, because it sounds like he had a hard time with casting at the beginning of pre-production of this movie, or going into pre-production, because he had a hard time getting Bruce Willis. He wanted Jean Rene, so he had a hard time getting Bruce Willis. Yep. Mila Djokovic, who at the time had only really done Chaplin and Dazed and Confused, wanted her, but I heard from what he said. Now these were all on the special features on the 4K disc, so I'm quoting him. On day one of her casting call, she wore too much makeup. She was nervous as hell, and she just ruined it. Yeah, he was like, she ruined it. I didn't want to see her again. But on the second one, he called her back in because I guess he had more casting issues. Yeah, and all she was wearing was a t-shirt and short shorts and no makeup, and she was, you know, just relaxed. And he was like, she knocked it out of the park. And if it wasn't for that second casting call, he wouldn't have ever called her back.
Well, I mean, sometimes that's just,
you know, people remember her for Dazed and Confused, and of course we're going to know her eventually as Resident Evil. Yeah. You know, we're eventually going to see her as the badass killing Alice in those movies. But man, if it wasn't for Fifth Element, I don't think she maybe would have landed any of those sci-fi roles.
I mean, I think she would have, but it would have been so much different. It's not even funny, because she beat out, I think, around 3,000 other females, actresses and amateurs.
I know from what I saw on the special features and the from what I've researched, he had a really hard time with castings. So,
which, I mean, with a movie like this, especially, you know, okay, you were telling me how young he was when he started the screenplay, and I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, when you do something for, I think, 22 years of your life, you want to perfect it. You want it to be as good as it can be. Like, because actually, he went so over budget, it wasn't even funny. But what's weird is that he didn't have to let any of the financiers on set, nor even show them anything of the film. And he still got it done. And I was just like, damn, that's kind of weird. But, I mean, it just goes to show, sometimes you can have a bit of power.
Yeah, it's funny that, you know, this film took him literally years to try to come up and do.
Yeah.
But he had over 400 sheets of screenplay written when, you know, he was getting ready to turn this in. And you said he had enough information to do 3 movies.
Yeah, he pretty much condensed. He was he was actually planning to do a trilogy. But for some reason, he got ahead and took it and said, yeah, you know what, here we go. One shot, and there we go. I guess he couldn't come up with enough filler, is what my thought would be. So, yeah, we've got all 3 in one. I've got to say, I thought it was pretty damn cool. But, you know...
So, IMDb gives this movie a 7.5 out of 10, and then it's sitting at Rotten Tomatoes at 71%, so it's sitting fresh there. Not to mention, the way the movie starts off, you know, in the desert, it kind of has a Stargate-like feeling to it.
Yeah.
Searching for the 5th element. But you see a young Luke Perry, you know, a late Luke Perry in the movie. You said you haven't seen those parts before. What did you think of the first opening scenes?
It was so weird, because I was just like, what the shit is all this? Like, why are they going back to 1914, you know? It's a futuristic movie. What the hell? But, you know, once they brought out the 4 element stones and all that, it made a lot of sense, and it was like, okay, cool. But, you know, they didn't need that backstory. They didn't need to give you that. But the fact that they did was pretty cool. I like it.
It was one of those movies that I thought maybe at over 20 years, how would it age? And as far as like some of the CGI effects go, or some of the way the futuristic things look, it didn't look too bad nowadays. The only thing I had a hard time with was maybe the some of the scenes with Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
To me, those are the only things that didn't age well. You could almost take... I mean, I might get some hate for this because I know a lot of people like Chris Tucker in this movie. But for me, you don't need... I don't think you need that character.
You don't, but I mean, he's
the Jar Jar Binks of this movie.
Kind of, yeah, basically. But I mean, honestly, it kind of... Because at that time, he was probably known just simply for...
He might have done Rush
Friday.
Hour. Oh, well, yeah. I don't think he did Rush Hour at that point.
I think it was 99 with Rush Hour. But, I mean, you know, Friday back in 95 was what he was predominantly known for. So with that, you've got to say, you know, I'm kind of happy he did this because it shows that he doesn't have to be typecast as, you know, the stoner, pothead kind of, you know, on the block kind of guy. You know, it doesn't have to be that simply. It can be some wacky, kooky DJ radio host that is over the top for everything.
Yeah, you're right. He did Friday before that. That was really his only big thing. And then he ends up doing Jackie Brown and Rush Hour shortly after Fifth Element. So
I mean, that might have been his kind of
his leaping pad
door, you know, to kind of, or odd door handle for that matter.
Which it was so weird seeing him in a movie like this now.
It really is, because I mean, don't get me wrong, if you know because I mean, okay, let's face it, Friday and then those 3 Rush Hour movies are the ones he's basically known for. Now, on top of that, he's known for several different other things.
Right.
I mean, if you
Smaller
say Chris
roles.
Tucker, it's automatically those 4 movies, you know, and now everybody's like, is he in Last Friday? Is he going to be in the next Friday movie? What the hell's going on, you know? But I don't think we would have seen the Chris Tucker we've got today without that movie. I really don't.
The Fifth Element?
Yes.
That's true. I can see that. It definitely did show, you know...
his kooky side.
Yeah. Not to mention, that whole scene pretty much from the time Bruce Willis meets Ruby all the way until the end, for a 2 hour and you might as well say just a 2-hour movie with the credits being probably 6 minutes.
Probably.
With a 2-hour movie, it really does kind of fly by.
Yeah, it does.
I was kind of. I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't one of my more favorite sci-fi movies or Bruce Willis movies. The thing that really got me through this movie, and the thing that I really enjoy about it, is Gary Oldman. So Gary Oldman in this is like one of the big, turn-ons for me in this movie, because he looks like he should be a, maybe a French-talking or a English-talking priss-ass, but when he starts talking in the movie, he sounds like a redneck.
Yeah.
He's a hick.
Now, y'all don't know. I was just like, what the hell?
But Gary Oldman, I mean, in the 90s, he was known for a lot of these wacko, crazy out kind of roles.
Yeah.
But, man, what do you think about Mila Djokovic in this movie?
Kind of weird, honestly, but with how she's supposed to be. I think she played the character's role perfect. Plus, don't get me wrong, learning a made-up language that basically only you and the director know.
Yeah, he wrote it all up from, I think he said, what was it, Greek and Latin.
Pretty sure, yeah.
He made it all up from Greek and Latin.
And then on top of that, by the end of this filming, they could have full-blown conversations, just them. So, I mean, I think that's kind of a cool thing when your actor or actress or whatever have you, get so into it, or at least commit so well to the role, they do stuff like that. Which, I mean, it probably wasn't extremely hard for her, because she's already, if I'm not mistaken, or at that time, was fluent in 4 or more languages. So, yeah. I mean, apparently that's one of her gifts, is that she is very good in, learning different tongues.
Yeah, we'll go through some of the director stuff right here and see if maybe you might, hear or like some of this. But his big break was from 1990. He did Nikita, and then he did Leon the Professional in 1994, and then The Fifth Element in 97.
Right.
He would touch on and go. His next big project would be The Family, The Lady in 2011, The Family. In 2013, Lucy.
Oh, okay.
Lucy in 2014. And then Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets in 2017.
Now, see, The Family and Lucy. Lucy I like. I really like
I enjoyed Lucy.
I thought Scarlett Johansson did pretty damn good in that. Now, The Family, my grandparents love The Family.
Oh, yeah. Robert De Niro, Michelle Pfeiffer. It's a pretty good movie.
Well, it's not just that, but they're not one for all the language and all that. So, for them to go ahead and love a movie like that, I was like, are you serious? Or are you just joshing around? Mm-hmm. But no, they were serious. Like, damn, okay.
So, one of the main reasons for these bonus episodes is this month, this year specifically, is a lot of 30-year anniversaries. So I'm like, man, there's just not enough time to cover some of these great movies from the 90s or the 80s, and that are being re-released.
Which, I mean, this might be a 22-year anniversary.
Now it is, yeah. The 4K did come out 2 years ago. But yeah, The Fifth Element, bought it, 20th anniversary, 4K Blu-ray. You can find it fairly cheap. I think I paid $14.99 for it. You can check it out on Amazon. You can rent it for $2.99 or buy it for $12.99. Or you can get it on Amazon on Blu-ray for $6.98.
Dang.
So,
one of the big complaints I've got, the Protectors. They didn't do shit. I mean, they were literally called the Protectors, and they didn't protect a damn thing. Not even themselves, for that matter. So these freaking droid-looking things, like, they just reminded me of an ancestor of the Star Wars droid.
The clone droids?
Yes, whatever the heck those things are called again. But that's all they could remind me of, with that little bitty weird head. And, I mean, maybe that's where they got some of the inspiration from with Star Wars, but I mean, it to me, you could have taken those guys out, left the priests as the protectors, and it would have been just the same, but without the spaceships. Like, that's the main thing that is the biggest difference, I guess, to me.
Well, right now we're going to leave you with the home video trailer from Sony about The Fifth Element, and then we'll get into some more details on why we decided to pick this one for the month of July.
DVD. This is the ride primed to explode. From the director of The Professional and La Femme Nikita comes Luc Besson's visually stunning sci-fi masterpiece, The Fifth Element, the Ultimate Edition DVD. Get ready for Superbit DTS high voltage fun.
Bada boom. Big bada boom.
Now with over 2 hours of new, never-before-seen extras, including 6 featurettes and more.
When Lulu jumps, time slows down. It's this sort of magical moment.
The first time I heard about the diva was in my bed. When the performers agreed to do it, they had no idea what they were going to go into.
Anybody else want to negotiate?
The Fifth Element. Own the Ultimate Edition DVD.
So that right there shows you that there's a lot of bonus content on this thing. That was, of course, the DVD, but if you go out and you buy the 4K or just the original Blu-ray, the Blu-ray comes with visual effects, digital element, the fashion, imagining the Fifth Element. So there is all those, DVD
details.
All those DVD extras are on the Blu-ray. And then there's a new. There's what I saw is the director's notes, all access 20 years later, that you can watch the interview. It's like a 15-minute interview, but that's only on the 4K copy. But yeah, you said one of the main reasons you wanted to do this, it was just you had to choose. You chose this over Wonder Woman.
Right. Wonder Woman, personally, I think that should get more of an episode. I think a small, compact episode for this is kind of perfect just because it's not the biggest film, but it is still a fun ride. It's kind of like the Wildcat at Frontier City compared to, some like the Joker out at Six Flags. The Wildcat is fun and all that, but it's not going to be over the top or anything like that, to where the Joker literally spins you all the way around, up and down, all the time, over and all that junk. So,
I find it kind of funny that you picked this because, and that you use that exact analogy for it, or yeah, I guess you could say that, because last month Zach picked Alien.
Yeah.
You're right there. You're talking about one of the biggest, baddest sci-fi movies of all time. And then, month of July, we're going to do Fifth Element. And I'm like, that's actually kind of cool because you're going from a big, dark thrill ride to this, still a big box office budget movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's just, it's a one-off kind of fun sci-fi movie.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, Predator has done or Alien has done freaking 6 movies now, spin-offs and attachments to other films, Predator, for that matter. But I mean, the Fifth Element one, it was a pop in space, and that was it, and I mean...
And the performances weren't bad. I enjoyed Bruce Willis, I enjoyed Mila Djokovic, Chris Tucker, I really enjoyed Gary Oldman.
Yeah. I think if you change up the actors and actress...
I don't think it'd work.
I think it would work, but it definitely wouldn't have made even a half of what it got. Because don't get me wrong, at that time, not at that time, but still, those are big names, all of them. So you go in.
But nowadays with the internet, with reviews being so easily defined, a movie like this 20 years ago it would have been a little bit more difficult to find reviews. It would have been a little bit more difficult to... You've had more hearsay than anything.
Definitely.
Not everybody had access to the internet like they do now.
No.
So, back in the day, you needed names like these to probably go get people to the movies.
Yeah, and
if you put, if you put Jean Reno at the top of this, not a lot of people are going to know who he is.
No.
Maybe half.
Yeah,
but not as many as people know the name of Bruce Willis.
Right, especially at the time, like you said, with the Die Hard, and like I said, with Pulp Fiction, movies like that kind of helped open the door for a movie like this. And I mean, people would have been, oh, okay, well, the director, oh, okay, well, her, oh, okay, him, but other than that, they're going, well, what the fuck's The Fifth Element? Like, I think the name itself would have been the most alluring fact of this entire film, because people would be like, well, what is The Fifth Element? I want to know. And, all that. And they still, even with that, they kind of leave it up to you to decide what The Fifth Element is. If it's just her, if it's, the bond of love between them, or if it's something totally different. Personally, I think it's the bond of love between them, or the love they felt between them. Personally, that's what I think The Fifth Element is. Because love is something you can touch, but you can't truly touch. You know what I mean? It is an abstract kind of thing. And all around, I like the film. Like you said, Gary Oldman is pretty much my favorite part of it. Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich, those two they do great. They are wonderful in this.
I thought they had tremendous chemistry as those two.
Yeah. But then, Gary Oldman just dials up a little bit of because especially when you see him, you expect this arrogant asshole CEO type thing.
Right.
And then freaking John Wayne comes out, and it's like, what the hell? Hold on.
For those of you who haven't seen this movie by now, he's talking about, like we talked about just a little bit ago, his accent is just very southern-like, and I haven't found out why. Right, but I would like to know, maybe why.
Well, maybe that's how Luc Besson thought about it. He wanted that kookiness, the I'm serious, but not too serious kind of deal.
And for those of you who are looking back thinking that this might be one of those cheesy sci-fi 90s flicks, it's far from it. I mean, it got high recognition. It was nominated for an Oscar at the 1998 Academy Awards for Best Effects and Sound Effects. So, I mean, and you can tell, even for being 1997, compared to some of the other 90s flicks out there, sci-fi movies, maybe like an Independence Day, or something like that. The effects are, it's a high-dollar box office movie.
Actually, what's funny is that in one of the scenes when it's going over the skytops, the people on the roofs and all that are artists that done the rendering and everything, and then employees of the visual effects. They are actually the extras on top of those roofs.
That's pretty cool. You don't see a lot of that. That's pretty cool that he, hey,
included them.
Yeah.
Even for a second or two of seconds of a shot. I mean, that's still given hey, you've been in a film, thank you, blah blah blah.
Maybe they get a extra incentive or something. I don't know.
Something. I mean, hey, but I mean, actually, talking about extra incentives, Gary Oldman. I want to talk about that guy for just a minute here. The reason he actually did this film, Luc Besson actually financed one of Gary Oldman's films. You can find it. It's called Nil by Mouth. Nil by Mouth. Honestly, I'd never heard of this movie until I started looking at different things to talk about with this, and that's one of them that came up. Found it a little odd. But that's the main reason that Gary Oldman said yes to it. He didn't even see a script. He said, okay, yeah, I owe him a favor. And
nice.
Both these films, actually, this one came out just before Gary Oldman's film came out. And Gary Oldman was the screenplay for that, Nil by Mouth. So he's actually been asked in interviews, I think back in 2014, so about 5 years ago roughly, what he thought of The Fifth Element. He's pretty much said he detests the film and he can't stand it.
Gary Oldman?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I was like, oh my god. He's like, I did it as a favor and I did my best for what I was given, so, he's like, I think, the handshake was done.
Do you think that's something that maybe should have been kept to himself?
Not really. I mean, I kind of feel honesty is the best policy, but
because to me, now hearing that, to me, he was the best part of that movie. I enjoyed.
Right, but I mean, the thing is he did do his best. It's not like he cheaped out and said, fuck it, I'm gonna kind of remember He did what he did, and I mean, what he did was good. So it's not like he just, I'm gonna do a half-assed favor for you. No, he did the full-assed favor. So, I mean, I think that's pretty good that he at least stepped up to the plate and he swung with heart, I think that's great. Now, I mean, that's like Johnny Depp supposedly has never seen any of his movies. He feels like it's a bad luck thing.
I've heard some actors do that. I think Leo's one of them as well.
Oh man,
so
he's missing a lot of stuff. I mean, so is Johnny Depp.
When we just dug deep and talked a lot about Leo on the Django episode.
Yeah.
Which you can hear in the archives at the Cine-Men Movie Podcast Facebook page. We'll get into some more plugs a little bit later on.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I did think was crazy. But, no, with Bruce Willis, it's kind of funny that, he switched from Jean Reno to Bruce Willis. And then Mila Jovovich, he apparently didn't like at all.
No, he didn't like her first interaction. He had a hard time with casting with this movie. From what I've read, she showed up at her first casting call nervous, too much makeup, and just stunk it up, he said, which you can find this on the director's notes on the 4K disc. And then she comes a second time, no makeup, just wearing nothing but a shirt and some shorts, and completely just blew it out of the water.
Which, I mean, honestly, sometimes it's funny to hear a name like hers and to think she was nervous. She, done this or done that, and she wasn't that good at all. And, it's just kind of funny with that. Because, I mean, that would be like saying, well, I mean, that's like the Grand Ole Opry told Elvis he was going to amount to nothing and that he shouldn't sing and all this. And, I mean, he's pretty much a worldwide household name. So,
just like Bruce Willis coming off of, like you said, 94, he did Pulp Fiction. He did the, Die Hard 1 and 2, 12 Monkeys in 95, Die Hard 3 in 95, Last Man Standing in 96, The Jackal, which was huge with Richard Gere in 97, and then he decided to do The Fifth Element. And then, after that he would do some, he would do Mercury Rising, The Siege, and then he had the big Armageddon. Yeah. But Bruce Willis, man, coming off of some of those movies going into this one, it almost was like the director needed a name like this.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, without these names, I don't think it would have made over $100 million. I think they might have made their money back. Which is, just to be fair, around $80 million. So, I mean, I think they would have equaled out, but I don't think they would have made a profit, or much of, for that matter. But, I mean, hey, the chips fall how they do, and sometimes it domino effects into a huge culmination of helped out the director, helped out the actors and actresses, and was good for all around. Because, yes, maybe the film isn't the best. There are some visual effects that have aged kind of badly. Then there are some visual effects that have aged brilliantly. So, I mean, it's not like it's a horrible film at all. It's just, with the technology, they did the best they could at the time, and it was very good, especially now we've got so many different high-end production cameras and lenses and angles and lighting and all that stuff that it's not even funny. Some of the angles the artists and the visual effects teams have to go in and touch up and do and all this.
With these bonus episodes, I talked to Zach about it on the Alien episode.
Yeah, pretty
much gonna have you guys pick a movie each month that maybe that's maybe meant something to you, or just something that you really want to talk about. So I'm gonna do what I did with him on the June episode and just ask some questions about it now.
Yeah.
The Fifth Element, Bruce Willis. When you think or when you hear The Fifth Element, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Mila Jovovich.
Really?
Yeah, just because honestly, the hair,
is it the red hair? Yeah, I was gonna
the
say.
outfit, the hair. They dyed her hair several times and pretty much almost killed her hair for a while. So they came up with a wig. So part of the movie is filmed with her hair, and then part of it's filmed with the wig.
I was gonna say at the beginning of the movie, it looked really thin.
Yeah, because I mean, over time they were like really killing her hair, dyeing it so much and all that, and it couldn't withstand it after a time. But yeah, I mean, you know, the little languages she speaks, you know, I mean, Mila Jovovich, her whole entire part with this, to me, is what is the outlier. Because Bruce Willis, kind of just a regular guy. I mean, he could be a cabbie in 1986 New York. He could be a cabbie in, apparently, 2263 New York. So, you know, he kind of... But with
what did you...
yeah.
Cut you off just a second. What'd you think of the president? Played by Debo.
Honestly, it was a little weird because
which is kind of fun. Another Friday star in the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I almost kind of wonder if one of them may have suggested the other
off. Yeah, but I mean, you know, because I mean, we've seen actors and actresses do that for each other.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure there's cliques, if you will, in Hollywood. Definitely got to be. But I mean, with that, you've got. It was a little weird, but it was kind of cool. Just because, you know, at that time, I mean, even still to this day, not many presidents are known as a black guy. So, I thought it was cool just, you know, to have that type too. And it's not like he was, well, this is mine and this is how... He wasn't an instrumental, you know, lughead, if you will. He wasn't just a big dude who could push you around. He was smart about it, and he tried to get his cabinet into everything and all that. So, I think a smart president, personally.
Especially if it was something from like maybe the 90s. You know, that's unheard of almost.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it was just the fact of that, like, he didn't have to be overbearing about everything. And well, this is mine, and it's going to be how, you know. He more played it with his brain than his brawn, I guess you could say. So honestly, I thought his character was cool. I think he had the perfect amount of time on camera, because the president's part, I mean, a lot of people could have played it, honestly, but, you know, I think it just needed that little bit of time that he got to be as good as it was. So, yeah, that's what I think about that guy.
Do you think that there is a good mixture of CGI and full-blown on costume and makeup, or do you think one overlapped on the other?
I think the CGI overlapped a little bit on the other, but I mean, I think they were trying to come up and change the game a little bit, because this is one of the precursors to it. I mean, honestly, you know, when you only have limited technology, and I mean, even when it's the newest stuff at that time, because don't get me wrong, in 2019 might look like shit. You know, I mean, honestly, Avengers Endgame, I thought it was brilliant and looked amazing with the colors and the renditions and everything. But here by 2040, everybody might be like, oh my god, that's horrible, you know. So, I mean, it just shows you what 20 years can do to one thing. So, you never know what could be great, could be horrible, could be the best thing ever, could be the most horrible POS on the market.
It's funny that you say that, because I was getting ready to ask you, as far as, like, you know, are they, the creatures in this movie, are they considered aliens? Are they considered just dubbed out creatures? Because some of them look like big lizards.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you trying to do here?
I mean, I think he was trying to put out, you know, I mean, okay, you've got to think, this is delving partly into the mind of a 16-year-old guy. So, you know, apparently he didn't have the greatest childhood and kind of started making this world up to get out of his head, if you will. So, I mean, you've got to be in your head but out of your head at the same time. So he was basically kind of, probably had seen Star Wars, probably loved that, probably had seen, you know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and probably helped develop some of that, and probably a few different films helped develop this in itself. And he probably seen, oh man, yeah, everybody's using different types of aliens, so that's what I should do.
And especially with a movie that's supposed to be 300 years into the future.
Exactly.
It's one of those movies that, thanks to maybe some of the Alien sequels or Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe we can get some of this generation to maybe go back and look at The Fifth Element. So if you were trying to let somebody know, hey, in just a few sentences, a few words, how would you get somebody who's never seen The Fifth Element? How would you be like, hey, I think you should go check this out?
If you like cheesy sci-fi alien movies that have kind of a direct plot line too, because it doesn't just go off and branch out, you know what I mean? It doesn't just branch out into all this stupidity. It kind of has its own little plot line with a few little branches here. You know what I mean? It's a straight tree. But honestly, I'd just tell someone, if you like a cheesy B-rated sci-fi flick about aliens and about...
I wouldn't even call it B-rated, though, because of how much money was spent on it.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I could see the cheesiness 20 years later.
Yeah.
But 20 years ago, this was up there with Independence Day.
That's true. That is very... Man, it's so hard to kind of compare it back in the day, especially...
That's what I love these bonus episodes.
Yeah.
Going back maybe 20, 30, or with the Alien episode, was that 40 years worth of material. A 40-year-old movie, and we're sitting here 40 years later talking about it.
We weren't even born.
Right. Same thing. I mean, same thing with this. When The Fifth Element came out, I was
6.
Came out May 9th, 1997. I was 6.
No, I was 5. I wasn't 6 yet.
Yeah, like I didn't. The
like
first time I watched this, I was probably maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And I hated this fucking movie.
I thought it was weird.
Because of how many times my dad would watch this, Jurassic Park, sci-fi movies. That's all he'd watch. So it's funny, growing up, I hated some of these movies, and now I'm doing...
You appreciate the artistic value of it.
I'm doing shows on them. We've done shows on Indiana Jones.
And I'd never seen that before that day.
Fifth Element. Some of these movies that, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I didn't like these movies when I was 5 or 6. Now, 20 years later, I sit back and I'm like, damn.
See, with my little sister's mother, she told me one thing when I was about 18, when I was first starting to drive, that, takes hold of everything in life, and it makes it weird, but it makes it the probably the straightest and most honest piece of advice you can give someone. Take your blinders off. Don't be tunnel visioned. Because simply, when you're a kid, oh, this is cool, that's what I like. That's cool, I like that too. Yeah. But when you grow, you're kind of like, you know what? I'm going to delve into everything, because if you don't try things, you're never going to know if you might like it yourself. You're never going to develop who Johnny is or who Edward is. You're never going to know, So, with that being said, she told me, don't be tunnel visioned. Simple as that. Just don't be tunnel visioned. Open your eyes. And I was like, I do open my eyes. What the hell are you talking about? But now I understand, because you can't just sit in your lane.
Right.
And be just that
almost
solo thing.
Almost one of those movies where you don't watch the movie, you have to be in the movie.
Right. Or at least appreciate, damn,
the moment.
Gary Oldman did really fascinating, and it was a weird southern accent and kind of out of the blue, but maybe there is some southern accent guy here in 240 years that's going to be the evil owner of a freaking company. Or like The Watchmen, the smartest man in the world wants to kill everybody in the world.
Yeah, and
what the shit,
That's kind of going back on an episode a few weeks ago when we did the Batman Returns episode.
Yep.
We were talking about, how you can't really judge a movie based on what maybe other people hear,
right,
or what other people say, what other people write about it. So going back and doing these movies 20, some people are like, why would you do a podcast about movies 20 years ago? My answer is, why not? Exactly. There's so many eyes and ears of people that are out there today that don't know a lot of stuff about this.
So, don't get me wrong, I personally love slapstick comedy, stupid comedy, like Jackass type stuff.
Right.
Love it. Just because, what can we do next? Can we push it? Get Hard with Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell. That movie, I don't think it's the greatest movie. I know it's not the great, but I find it hilarious just because some of the lines they use.
But it's, I mean, it's not. It doesn't even have to be a good movie to make you laugh. If it makes you laugh, go for it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's the same thing with something like The Fifth Element. It's one of those things where, does it live up to its original dark idea 20 years later? No,
maybe not. No.
But is it a fun sci-fi movie that you can enjoy 20 years later?
Definitely.
Yeah. And not only do you appreciate it 20 years later, 20 years later you look at something completely different.
Yeah.
You look at something completely different in a few years, let alone the 20-year image.
Because I don't think the same from when I was 21 to currently 28. I don't think the same, Because, I mean, a 21-year-old, oh, yeah, let's get drunk. Yeah, I can finally buy beer. Hey, what y'all want, fuckers? It's where now it's like, I don't really want to go to jail for buying my little sister a beer. Yeah, wait.
Or it's like, 10 years ago, you're like, hey, I want to go out, I want to get fucked up, let's go see a movie at 3 o'clock in the morning. 10 years later, I'm like,
I gotta be at work at 6 in the morning. Now it's like,
let's have a sandwich.
It's 10 o'clock p.m. I gotta be at work at 6.
I'm tired.
Let's just watch a movie. I'll probably fall asleep, but let's just watch a movie at home on TV or some shit. Or, you know what? I mean, like you've got freaking library back here. But, hey, go pick one, spend 10 minutes, go pick one, probably fall asleep at 11:30.
It takes me a little bit longer than 10 minutes.
I was trying to be okay,
Sometimes I want to pull my hair out sometimes, but
hey.
Man, no, I watched this week to get ready for this episode.
Same.
And I watched it on 4K. I watched the Ultra HD copy. And I will say that as well as the sound is huge and it thubs every fucking wall in my house. Yeah. The video, for it being a 4K, it was one of those movies where the 4K came out, the disc itself came out 2 years ago.
Yeah. Now,
granted, 4K movies today are probably a little bit different as far as, imagining things differently. Yeah. I will say there was a little bit more film grain in this than I wanted as far as a 4K transfer.
Right.
It almost kind of felt like a updated Blu-ray copy.
Right.
But it still looks very good. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5 as far as the visual goes, as far as a 4K disc. Overall, audio is fucking amazing. I'd give it a 5 out of 5.
Maybe they were able to do a lot more with the audio than the actual visual effects, just because you can't. I mean, it's kind of like what we said with Star Wars. Why are you putting unnecessary thing? Maybe that's what their team went with, is that in Star Wars they put unnecessary shit where it shouldn't have been, and it looks so off-putting that it's like, what the hell?
Your special features, I would give it a 3 out of 5. All the special features that are on the Blu-ray disc are standard definition, which means it's the same quality you got when you bought the DVD. And then you do get the 4K director's notes, which is pretty fucking cool. I wish every 4K release that they did, they would add something small like that, even if it's a 15-minute interview, which this was.
Right.
Something new for the 4K for somebody who goes out and buy 4K.
Definitely, and I mean, I think that's a nice thing. Kind of like what you said with The Watchmen with the Zack Snyder cut, when he gone ahead and would come in and actually, say, oh, this is why I did this is what happened here, this is what I was going for, or that's why I did this. Different stuff like that. I love that stuff, especially with the sci-fi flick. I love that, because don't get me wrong, sometimes my vision of the future will be different than your vision of the future. You know what I mean? So to actually have that person and their envisioned future, and have them commenting on why, what, how, when, and where, that I think is amazing and a great idea. Whoever came up with that or thought about, oh, let's do this, love it. You should have been paid richly for what you did. So, yeah.
And then you guys can find this, like I said earlier, you can watch it on Amazon Prime for $2.99.
Yep.
You could rent it. You can rent it on Vudu for $2.99. It's on YouTube TV for $3.99.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean, honestly, $2.99, $3.99.
Google Play is $3.99, or if you have Netflix, go watch it for your regular monthly subscription to Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Which I think I did actually watch it on Vudu personally.
Not available on iTunes. Or you can, like I said, you can go buy the 4K for $20, or the Blu-ray for like $7, $10 at Best Buy, Walmart. DVD, I think it's $3.98. So this movie is pretty easy to find. I have it right now. Yeah, you can get the Fifth Element Blue 4K with digital copy for $22.99.
Right. So I mean, about the price you'd pay for a regular.
You can get the
movie.
pretty cool Steelbook Fifth Element regular Blu-ray for $10 at Best Buy.
Oh, okay. So I mean,
the Steelbook is pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
I think it's got one of the spaceships on the cover, or it's got his one of the police cars, I think.
Yeah, it's the police car, but yeah, okay. Her standing in the middle of a kind of the city and the planet up above, and some police hover cars or space cars or whatever you want to call them coming after.
But yeah, you can get that for $10, which isn't bad. It's available here in Oklahoma City. One more thing I want to touch on before we let you go is I did enjoy the food truck. How it just pulls up to your house and Bruce Willis sits down there and he just eats.
And is talking with the guy like he does this every Thursday night.
I don't know if you noticed, but did you recognize the guy who...
I did not.
He's the Asian gangster from Lethal Weapon 4, Uncle Benny.
Well, that's why they... Oh, okay. Gosh. Hey, that's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, that's really cool right there, just to have little cameo appearances or little appearances by some different actors and actresses. Because, I mean, that would be like seeing... Well, I mean, okay, like Brad Pitt when he did the little cameo in Deadpool 2. So that was, as the Invisible Man. I've got to say, I think stuff like that's really awesome. But overall, you want to do a star rating? What would you put on this?
Yeah, one more thing before we touch up on the star rating is, what was your favorite scene? We always talk favorite scenes, and with this being a fun visual effect kind of movie.
Personally, I've got two. One is, I know this received a lot of shit apparently, but one is the what is it? The opera singing scene. I thought that was pretty cool, just because it is a little different, and I mean. When you go to that resort or whatever, I personally think it's cool that, you could go to a paradise planet. So there's one. But and the other, I would have to say it was the end. When they find out how to align all the four elements and all that junk. I loved that scene just because the... little rendering when they had to put the earth or the tear or whatever. I thought that was really cool that you actually had to give part of what it was labeled as. So, and then with the little magic dust stuff coming up out of it, I thought that was cool. But
I thought you were going to say the blue tube scene at the end was your favorite. When they were in that blue tube and the blue light was on them.
I mean, it was funny.
I would have to say I'm going to go with 2 as well. My scene is the chase scene at first when they first meet. That's just an iconic scene.
Well, bada boom.
She's jumping off and she lands in the taxi cab and that red hair is just flying and she's flying through the air. You're like, holy shit. Now, I could just imagine what that was like, seen in a theater back in the day.
Yeah.
And then the scene with the blue alien and the opera scene.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was just him really like getting into character, him getting into a mode. But Bruce, if you go back, I don't know if you noticed, but go back and rewatch that scene. Yeah. Bruce Willis, you can see some. He's sitting there looking at her, and the camera's going around her. Yeah. And you can see him enjoying, and he's just amazed at what he's seeing.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe it's he's heard of her and all that, but it's the first time. Well, I mean, maybe Luc Besson was like, look, you've heard of her. She's one of the most known singers in the galaxy. However, this is the first time you've seen her up close. You didn't expect it, and she's got an amazing voice in person. So. Blah, because I mean, I've heard some singers, to where in studio, fantastic, amazing voice and all that, and then you get in concert and they're shit. Is what I've heard some. And then I've heard some singers that they're good in the studio, but they're best live. I've heard that with some, that they are amazing live. But either way, I mean, yeah, maybe he really was enjoying it, because hey, you never know. Some people, I mean, that might be one of his passions, is to go to operas. You never know. Some badasses like soft, weird stuff like that. So,
but I mean, I thought it was very interesting. Something that you don't see literally every time in a movie is he was just glued on it.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, if you look in folklore, sirens, attract the attention of males quite often. They're supposed to be female seductresses, basically. So they use their voice. Maybe she's a siren,
right?
I mean, well, never know.
But those are our favorite scenes. One more way that you can see this movie, I should have brought this up earlier, but
yeah,
you can see it here in Oklahoma City at the Cinema Pub Banquet. We've talked about that before with Zach. That movie's starting to show a lot of older movies, and then maybe like one new. I think they've only got 2 or 3 screens in it. Like we did The Departed, and for some crazy reason that week they were playing that movie. So I find it funny that we're doing The Fifth Element today, and Tuesday, July 30th, they are showing The Fifth Element.
Huh. A little odd, but maybe
Banquet Cinema Pub in Bricktown.
Maybe we need to give them, a visit.
Maybe we got to give them a talking to.
Possibly. I mean, see what's up, what's going on, why they pick their stuff. I mean, maybe delve into the mind of one of their managers or whatever have you. I'd like that.
But, man, let's going to get to the end of every episode, as we always do.
Yeah.
No matter if it's bonus or a full episode. Star rating. I'll go first.
Okay.
Visuals are amazing. Sound, editing, my rating is going to consist of overall.
Yeah.
4K, sound, video, performance. As a movie itself, I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Okay.
Out of 10. I really enjoyed the visual effects. I enjoyed the story. It's one of those that I could probably visit maybe once a year.
Okay.
But to me, just some of the stuff with Chris Tucker didn't age well. I'm not saying it's like terrible. It's not a bad movie at all.
Just a little weird.
It's just like Godzilla. It's a fun, sci-fi action movie.
Right.
So not every day are you going to get to see a blue alien sing an opera.
Yeah, I mean, or Chris Tucker in a
skin tight suit.
Well, no, not even just that. Suit. A leopard, exactly. Yeah. And that little hair thing.
Yeah.
What the shit was that?
I mean, if you guys haven't seen it out there, we told you where to look for it. It's fairly cheap. Go out there, give it a check. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Ed, what would you give it?
Not much more. 7 out of 10. Personally, I just enjoy the characters. I enjoy how kooky, funny, and weird. I think this is something you could introduce like a 10-year-old to and have them appreciate a little bit of a weird film.
Yeah.
And they might not like it, but when they're 16, 17, maybe 20, they'll be like, what was that film you showed me? And they might love it. You never know. So I'm going to say it's one of my favorite odd sci-fi movies is what I'm going to rate it as, an odd sci-fi movie.
Right?
Yeah.
As we were recording this, the next time you guys can hear us will be for the Spider-Man Far From Home episode.
Yeah. I cannot wait.
It's going to be a fun episode. We're going to dig into another Marvel movie as we have throughout the whole year. And then that's just a small pit stop because we are in July. We are in Quentin Tarantino month. We just covered Django. We're getting ready to cover Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and then we're going to end the month on his brand new film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So besides this bonus episode in Spider-Man, it's all Quentin Tarantino from here. Which, we did our Directors of Cinema episode, and I think he was ranked on yours.
Yeah,
he was ranked on, I think Zach had him as honorable mention.
Yeah.
He was number 1 for me.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a fun month. And August, that bonus episode is going to be the 10-year reunion of Public Enemies.
Wow.
So that's the one Zach picked out for August.
Okay. I like it.
I haven't seen that in probably actually since the day I probably bought it on Blu-ray 10 years ago.
So yeah. I actually really like that one too. I thought it was a good retelling of that story.
I can't wait to rewatch it. I think that'll be a fun bonus episode for the month of August. And then, man, it's getting ready. After that, there's the bonus episodes are going to be all horror movies.
Man, we've got horror film season coming up. We've got football season coming up. I can't wait for both.
We got the 1 year anniversary show coming up.
And you got some stuff in here that I just came in and was like blown away by some of it. I love one in particular, but love them all.
So the 1 year episode is going to be It Chapter 2.
Oh.
So, we're just a few months away from that, but man, everything is getting huge. Everything's getting bigger. We just celebrated our most downloaded episode ever with 272 downloads,
which is crazy.
So, you can find us again, Twitter.
Yep.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cine-Men405 or Movie Reels 405. REELZ 405, or like I said, you can also just search Cine-Men Movie Podcast on Facebook, and we pop up. We pop right up now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how
we're the number when you type in Cine-Men on Google, we're the first thing that pop up now.
Yeah.
And then you can find us on Instagram at just Cine-Men Movie Podcast, Twitter at Cine-Men405. And then we have a YouTube page, which they can find us through the Facebook page.
Yeah, just learn more and go from there.
And then we have a Snap, Ed.
Yeah, we actually do have a Snapchat. Cine-Men18. So it's CINEMEN 18. That is all one word, no spaces, no capitals, none of that.
And then I just posted a photo on Facebook about the bonus episode. Ed, you can post that same photo to the Snap.
Yep.
And I think that'll do it for us here on this bonus episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Man, good episode so far. I like them so far. I like we're not just going with the most popular stuff, because that's one thing we want to do. We want to introduce the popular, the big, the over the top, and all that. But we also want to pay homage to everything that brought it to this place. So, we're not just a trending podcast. We are an all-around
there you go.
Of
it doesn't matter what it is. We'll talk about it. If it deserves its props, we're going to talk about it. So.
Even if it doesn't, we'll try and
give it some props.
Defend it, against everything.
Yeah.
So.
As far as for Ed goes?
This is Edward signing out.
All right, guys, and this is Juan, and we will see you for the Spider-Man Far From Home episode right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.